What if I told you there's a place that has witnessed more bloodshed, betrayal, and terror than almost any other in history? A fortress so steeped in death and despair that its very stones seem to echo with secrets long forgotten. This place has been home to kings and queens, prisoners and traitors, and countless souls who met their untimely end. But it isn't just history that lingers here. It's something darker, something that refuses to be silenced. As we step into its haunting shadows, you may find yourself questioning where history ends and horror begins. Keep watching, if you dare. Welcome to the Tower of London, a place where history refuses to die and the dead refuse to leave. This is not just a story of stone and mortar. It's a story of blood, betrayal, and the restless spirits who haunt its halls. Are you ready to uncover the dark secrets buried deep within this iconic fortress? You may never see it the same way again. The story of the tower's haunting begins with one of its darkest mysteries, the disappearance of the princes in the tower. In 1483, Edward V, a 12-year-old king, and his younger brother Richard were sent to the Tower of London for their protection. But protection quickly turned to imprisonment. Their uncle, Richard III, seized the throne, and the boys vanished without a trace. Centuries later, skeletons believed to belong to the princes were discovered buried beneath a staircase. Imagine the terror of two young boys, royalty by blood, yet powerless in the face of betrayal. Did they cry out for help as they were smothered in their sleep? Or did they cling to each other in silence, waiting for a rescue that never came? The tower's ghostly whispers are said to belong to these boys. Guards have heard faint cries in the dead of night, followed by the eerie sound of footsteps, fading into nothingness. Is it their restless spirits? Or is it our guilt echoing through history? For me, this story is the epitome of helplessness. These boys were robbed of their future, and the tower became their silent tomb. It's chilling to think how many secrets history keeps buried, literally. Anne Boleyn, the fiery second wife of Henry VIII, met her end at the Tower in 1536. Accused of adultery and treason, Anne was executed by sword, a rare privilege granted by her husband. Her ghost has been seen carrying her severed head through the halls, her face a mixture of sorrow and defiance. Witnesses describe her as both terrifying and tragic, a reminder of a woman who dared to defy the king. Anne's story isn't just one of horror. It's a story of resilience, betrayed by the man she loved, humiliated in her final moments, and yet her spirit endures. Imagine haunting your ex's house for eternity. Honestly, Anne might just have the best revenge story in history. One visitor swore they saw Anne kneeling in prayer near the spot of her execution, only to vanish when approached. But here's the question: does she linger out of anger, sorrow, or something more? I can't help but admire Anne. Even in death, she refuses to be silenced. To me, she's not just a ghost. She's a symbol of defiance in the face of injustice. The White Tower is the oldest part of the fortress and arguably its most haunted. It's said to be home to the spirit of Sir Walter Raleigh, who spent 13 years imprisoned here. Visitors report feeling a sudden chill or an inexplicable sense of dread when walking through its corridors. Some have even claimed to see Raleigh's figure pacing, as though still plotting his escape. There's a legend of a guard who saw a ghostly apparition of a large bear within the tower. The guard, terrified, reportedly died of a heart attack soon after. Ghost bears? Now that's a twist I didn't see coming, as if humans weren't scary enough. Is the White Tower haunted by Raleigh's unfulfilled ambitions, or does it carry the weight of centuries of suffering? For me, the White Tower feels like the heart of this haunted fortress. It's like the walls themselves are alive, holding on to the pain and fear of everyone who's ever stepped inside. One of the tower's most famous spirits is the Lady in White. She's often seen standing in a window, gazing out over the Thames as if waiting for someone or something. Witnesses describe an overwhelming scent of roses when she appears, followed by an intense feeling of sadness. Who is she? A forgotten queen? A grieving mother? Or just a woman whose story was erased by time? One guard claimed he saw her turn and look directly at him, her face pale and expressionless, before disappearing into thin air. What does she want? And why does she still linger here? I find her story the most haunting of all. She's not angry or vengeful. She's just waiting. And isn't that the scariest thing of all? The idea of waiting for something that will never come? The ravens of the tower are more than just a quirky tradition. Legend has it that if the ravens ever leave, the monarchy will fall. But here's the eerie part. Some say they've seen ghostly ravens appear during times of national crisis, their black forms circling the tower before vanishing. Ravens as royal bodyguards? That's one job I wouldn't apply for, alive or dead. Are these spectral birds protecting the crown, or are they harbingers of doom? It's fascinating how even animals become part of these legends. The ravens are like living reminders that the line between the natural and supernatural is thinner than we think. The tower's guards, known as beefeaters, are its modern-day protectors. But even they aren't immune to the supernatural. One beefeater reported hearing footsteps behind him late at night, only to turn and find no one there. Another claimed he saw a figure in armor walking the grounds, disappearing through a solid wall. If I were a beefeater, I'd demand ghost insurance. Seriously, how do they sleep at night? What do the beefeaters really know about the tower's haunted history? And how much do they choose to keep secret? The fact that these stories come from trained guards makes them all the more believable. If they're scared, maybe we should be too. Beyond the well-known stories, there are countless others. Hidden chambers, secret tunnels, and tales whispered only among staff. One rumor speaks of a hidden dungeon where prisoners were left to rot, their spirits now trapped in eternal darkness. A visitor once claimed to hear faint moaning coming from beneath their feet. When they looked down, they saw nothing but stone. What other secrets does the tower hold? And how many of its ghosts remain undiscovered? This is what haunts me the most. The idea that the tower is still hiding its darkest secrets. It's like a book that can never be fully read. The Tower of London is more than just a historical site. It's a symbol of humanity's darkest impulses. It reminds us that power often comes at a cost, and that some wounds never heal. The ghosts of the tower aren't just relics of the past. They're warnings for the future. And as long as the tower stands, they will never be forgotten. If you're captivated by tales of haunted history, don't stop here. Watch our next video on The Curse of Pharaohs and uncover the deadly secrets of ancient Egypt. Click the end screen now to continue your journey into the unknown.